Hi everyone, it's Agnes and welcome to another interview. For those of you that listened to an interview I did with Vincent, part 1 and part 2, we never got to finish our conversation. So Vincent is here today. Hello, Vincent.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear you again.
Thank you.
I won't say see you because I can't.
Well, no.
So we thought we would continue on because there was lots of good stuff in your first interview and what you were experiencing, going through within yourself around a specific person. So let's carry on talking about that as to where you're at and any insights.
Well, like we said just seconds ago, neither of us can remember where we left off in the conversation. So I guess I should have taken a moment and listened to part 2 at the end of it to figure out what we were going to do here. But it's been up and down for me, and it's been in a lot of ways amazing how far I've come. I told everyone about the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, and I started reading it again recently, and I got to an exercise where it says that you should go out of town for a weekend and see what comes up. And I'd done that before, but I'd not done it right away with the book when I went through it the first time. And this time it was like, holy crap. Like, I read those lines and like, there's a lot going on within me. I should do this. So at the last minute, I checked out flights and I checked out a hotel room, and I got on a plane last night, and I'm currently, well, on a mini vacation. Let's leave it at that. And It's going to be interesting to see really what comes up for me this weekend, because I'm here where I'm at and I'm in the moment, and it doesn't seem to be bothering me that much. But when I was booking it, so I've got the book with me. I'm going to go through it a couple of times this weekend and do the exercises and journal and see what comes up. While you and I talked last time, I was going through a lot of stuff at work where what I was experiencing in my personal life and the changes I was making, it was bleeding into work, and I was basically burnt out and I couldn't see it. And it was affecting my work, and it was affecting how I was working with people, and work finally decided to take action about it. And that's the moment when it's like, holy crap, there's something going on here. I need to step away and look at this. So I did that, and I'm really glad I did. And I found a therapist who's been great. I've been working with a coach for men as well, who's gone through some of the similar stuff that I've gone through in life. And he's also taken that knowledge and been able to apply it to the world around him. And it's amazing how much of a difference 4 weeks can make, and me stepping away from work, and in that time learning to love myself, or starting to love myself. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I've been told that you know how to love yourself inherently. Maybe I'm just out of practice. Maybe that's what's going on here. And I started listening to your self-love meditations again before I go to bed. And even on the second or third time listening, I noticed a shift within me. There's been a ton of shifts within me in this time that I took time to step away from work, and even recently, this week back at work, where I feel a lot different in my body. And somebody that I worked with before, she and I worked together for the first time this week, first time in a long time. And she basically said that she felt she was working with a different person. And she commended me for that. And it's great that I've been able to go and do that in my internal work. And when she sent that email, I read it when I was alone, and I took a moment, and I was almost starting to cry in a certain way, because I've done the work on myself and I let go of so much crap. And in a way too, I can see how my relationships with women have really been formed or forged with my mother, and how I feel about myself. And I could see recently one of the things that I saw, and unfortunately there's so much stuff that I've seen and released and let go, and I can't remember all of it. But I can tell you that when I had some alone time this week, I'll take that a step back, where I asked myself and realized, and had the thought, well, why am I putting women on pedestals? You know, why is it that it's working out with certain women, but it's not working out with others? And when it would work out with the others, I can see now that I wasn't putting them on a pedestal. And with the ones it hasn't worked out with, it's because I was. Did research this week, and I really looked into it, and I felt into it, and it shifted for me where I can really see how if I'm putting a woman on a pedestal, it's a reflection of how I feel about myself.
Good insight.
And how unfair that is to me and how unfair that is to her. It's really strange that I've been able to accept my personal power at work, but I haven't been able to accept my personal power away from it, specifically with women. It's like the firefighter who, let me put it another way. It's like the bird that's not flying. It's like not going to see the doctor when you know you're sick and it's been beyond a day or two. There is a reason why, and it's an energy. It's attached to emotions. Why I'm inherently fighting my goodness. My power, the fact that I'm attracted with women, the fact that I can turn them on, especially the women I like. It's like there's some sort of disbelief going on inside me. I'm really tired now at the moment, so hopefully I drop more of that, what I'll call it, that sleep fuzz away, or that fogginess as we go deeper into this conversation. But I know I'm taking action to love myself on a daily basis, but I also had to ask myself, what is it I can be doing to show myself love that I'm not already doing? What does that look like? How does that feel like? And I remarked to you as well how both from the time that this woman turned me down again until recently, I'd really been focusing on what was not working between her and I, and what was not working in my life, period. I was very, very depressed and very, very harsh and angry on myself. And it's because of how I was treating dating, because I feel like I had failed. And I wasn't honest and truthful with myself when she was interested in me. And I had all this internal dialogue going on, both of supporting me and then of pulling me back and holding me back. And I can see how when I was putting her on a pedestal, that was my ego's way of keeping me safe and keeping itself safe and making sure it still had a job. And I was at my house, and I don't think about her nearly as much as I once did, which is a good thing. And I'd remarked to myself that it would be nice to go out with her someday, or what that would be like. And something that came up inside me right away was, yeah, but do I deserve to? Do I deserve to go out with her? And that's been something that's been resonating with me. And she's been interested in me, or other women have been interested in me. Like, do I really deserve it? And I think that speaks volumes that I just can't understand or comprehend right now. Why it is I'm saying that to myself, and how it is I can lose that vibration. Because essentially, I'm the one that's made sure that the two of us haven't gotten together or with any other woman that I've been really interested in. And on going further down the rabbit hole, and I'm okay with that. but also I'm getting tired of going down the rabbit hole to certain, like, I know I've got to do this growth to be able to change and to shift stuff.
Mm.
But
Can I interrupt you for a sec?
please.
I'm seeing this a lot with people and a specific person, and you can do the imagining, you can do the living in the end, you can do the self-love meditations, you can do the affirmations, you can do the scripting, you can do the vision board. But if you don't deal with your childhood stuff, that's the thing that pulls the pin. You will get certain results with those things, don't get me wrong, but you will default back with this stuff from childhood, like you say. Why have I got this? I'm not good enough, or I'm not deserving, or I'm not worthy, whatever word you want to use. It's all the same bag of nuts. This stuff comes from our childhoods. And really, this stuff is not about them. It never has been. It's always been about us. It's always been about us not going back and letting go and going into what happened to us and working on it to release, because it's like the body is a storage unit and it's trapped all these thoughts, feelings, and beliefs in the body. It's like a suitcase, and you take it with you wherever you go, and it stays in pockets in the body. The body stores the memories, the feelings, the thoughts, the things we heard. It's stored in us. So when you get a specific person that you really are attracted to, I think we're attracted to them for a certain reason, which I think is to finally dissolve and dismantle that baggage if you're up for the job. Because if you're not, you end up, you hit the wall with that person, it blows apart, and then you either try and get back with that person, or you find somebody else and you start the whole process all over again. That's why people have repetitive relationships and all that stuff, because they haven't actually identified, this is, my suffering is not according to them. My suffering is really according to me. It is mine. It comes from the past. And once you get that lesson and you work on that childhood stuff, you set yourself free that you can love somebody without the need. And that is, I think, the most fundamental learning. The self-love is a top layer, meditations, affirmations, but you do have to, I think, go below, because that person is not your medicine, as someone said to me yesterday. And I thought that was so well worded. They're not our medicine, and we think that they are on some level, but it's our own stuff that's kind of brewing, and the other person scratches the surface and it comes up. So as we talked a bit about this before we started recording, and I said to you, we'll talk about it more on the recording, you have to deal with abandonment stuff. You have to deal with I'm not good enough stuff, because those things, they're like the foundation of why we suffer so much, I think.
I agree with you on that, and I actually wanted to talk to you about that today because I wanted to know if I should start doing vision stuff, board stuff now, and journaling and scripting and all that kind of stuff now, while I'm still doing this work. But at the same time, this stuff's coming up about me feeling like I don't deserve her, and it just seems like it'd be counterintuitive. It seems like, I mean, I'm already, let me put it this way. Me putting women on a pedestal was my way, like I said before, my ego's way of keeping me safe. But also at the same time, it's been with women that I really like, when I put them on that pedestal, it's the feeling of me hanging onto a life raft in the middle of the Atlantic, not me going for a stroll on a Sunday afternoon. It's not relaxed. It's not enjoyable. And I'm so, and at the same time, me putting women on those pedestals has been the anchor that's been keeping my ship safe in harbor. So there's something that is going on. I acknowledge that, and I had to surrender to it last night, that maybe I just don't feel worthy enough inside to be with these women. I see them on the street. I see this specific person. There's a vibration, like they get my motor running. I'd like to be with these people. I'd like to take them and see where it goes, but there's something that feels like I'm getting in my own way, and I don't know what that is. I've gotten out of my own way at work. It feels like entirely by doing my own internal work, by doing my cleansing, and going deep and dealing with what I have to. So I don't know what else is left for the specific person stuff. I mean, I saw this yesterday where I started working on myself because I wasn't dating and I wasn't getting together with women, but it also started off with me much younger where I said I wanted to work out on my issues because women kept on meeting guys that had all these issues. And I was making it more about them than I was making it about myself, and I can see that now. And I think all this work that I've been doing for a very long time has been about other people rather than being about myself.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it more for me now than I'm doing it for anybody else. And I can see that there was a part of me that with women was sabotaging myself because the relationship that I had with my mom, because it was so approval seeking. And yesterday I gave a coworker my jacket and I was just thinking to myself, you know what? Do I do this? Do I not do this? Like, is this my nice guy coming up? Is this approval seeking? And when I finally did it, it was, no, you're being a gentleman. She was cold. You had on another layer. I was fine. She wasn't. And like, I'm getting really tired of this crap going on in my life. So I guess I got to figure out what the hell it's going to do to take me to wipe at the yeah.
And it's interesting.
I almost said a bad word on YouTube, but wipe it.
It didn't come out.
No, it didn't, because I caught myself and I know the rule. When I don't start that frack, but like, I know I'm better than this in a certain way. I know I've got more to offer myself and the world around me. And I don't need to be Superman anymore. I never needed to be Superman. So what's really going on here? And I'm the only one that can answer these questions. So
yeah. But I do think what you said about your mom, the original people, usually it's parents, sometimes it's grandparents, sometimes it's aunties and uncles if your parents have died or whatever. But whoever is the main caregivers to you from 0 to 7, they influence how you view women. They influence how you view men. They influence your interactions with women. They influence your interactions with men for the rest of your life. It's a blueprint. Now, once you become aware of that and you see what you did and what happened to you in those years, why you're approval seeking, why you put women on pedestal, all these things, the answers go back to those years. And if you can decode it and let go of the emotion, that's why that Dr. Hugh Len inner child meditation's good. You go back to the inner child, you go back to the original memories, and you let them out. Even if you don't remember what they all were, you will remember the feeling in your body. So you're letting it go. So that Dr. Hugh Len thing. There's also a wonderful woman called Brandon Bays, and she does some work called The Journey. And she talks about letting go of that stuff, especially for people that have cancers and tumors and all this stuff. This is all emotions, all locked in the body because of things that have happened. So it's like, it doesn't matter what disease you have. It doesn't matter whether you want an SP and you can't have them. It doesn't matter whether you're in debt. All those things are just symptoms of the core stuff which came from those early years. And if you put your energy into freeing yourself of that, your relationships massively improve. Your feeling free massively improves. All these other areas, they just fall into place because you're not shackled by the original offenses, you know, for lack of a better word, things that happen to you. You know, we all have things happen to us, and it wasn't necessarily on purpose that people did these things. It was, you know, they had their own things going on in their lives, and they were taking care of us, and we were the overflow sometimes of what happens. So, you know, I really am glad we've brought this up today, because it is, I think, the nucleus. You start with, I want to get my SP back. Then you finally learn about self-love. Then you look at meditation, how you don't take care of yourself. So you go through deeper levels, and then you go on, imagination creates reality. You read Neville, you read Florence Scovel Shinn, all these different teachers, and you get to the point where you go deeper and deeper and deeper. But I think the final frontier is dealing with your original abandonment, your original pain, your original whatever from your childhood. That's where the key is. You got to unlock that door. If you're going to influence your relationships today, your money, your whatever, you know?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I don't want to go through trying to manifest the two of us getting together, because I could see that back in August. I'm like, holy crap, I was trying to manifest the wrong thing. I was trying to manifest the two of us getting together, when I what really needed to be doing was loving myself and dealing with my issues and going deep with my growth.
Yep.
Lo and behold, this great opportunity comes along with this beautiful woman. We're in sync and it's going well. And I don't step up in the masculine way. I wasn't comfortable asking her out, because I kept on doubting myself.
Yeah.
And seemingly she was interested in me. And if she had turned me down, then I mean, I look back on it now, I would be a lot more okay with the situation if, when the vibe was there, I had asked her out and not gotten in my head and just, do you want to spend time with me? Do you want to go out? Rather than, like, I look back on it with so much regret, and that's just wasted energy. But I can see that you're talking to you, and I've dealt with so much of my issues surrounding my work and my lack of my work and my opinion of myself at work. So I guess it really comes down to a feeling of that I feel that I'm lacking somehow, some way in me, even though I'm really not. That I offer something that's really good and really strong to the universe. Like, one day I was talking to one of my coworkers, and we're bantering back and forth, and there's a good energy. And she described me as being, like, I think it was, she said, big, strong Adam, or big, tall Adam. She kind of yelled it into the phone, like, I'm trying to get you to see this here. Hello, like, you don't see it yourself. And I was down having breakfast downstairs, and like, there's something going on there with that. Like, there's a vibration there that I can feel in my body. So I guess I've got to start looking at this stuff that I haven't been able to or been willing to look at, because I can't look at everything at the same time. I just
No.
But I'm kind of tired of being on the losing football team, or rugby, since you're Australian.
Or cricket.
Cricket. Well, not
Yes.
but this is just getting to be a bit bloody well ridiculous. Like, I've got I'm influencing this somehow, some way, by something that started my body.
Yeah.
It's just, what the hell? Like, my brother does stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm seeing him in a relationship with someone that he's been with for a couple of years now. I'm not saying that that's what I'd like with my specific person, or with, like, I've got to find the person that I like to be in that situation with, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just, like, relationships to me should not be work. It is work, yes, but it should not feel like I'm raking the leaves, or feel like I'm changing the oil on a car. It should not be a chore.
Yeah.
And if it is, it's time to move on, or she's not the right person, or he's not the right person.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of anything else that I want to bring up about this conversation of what I've gone through. I'll tell you what's been working for me, and I've started to turn inwards and focus more on that. Journaling will focus on me, and not so much just journaling for what worked that day, but journaling what I feel. And journaling what I feel about that's something in my life and journaling when I'm feeling as well, and then trying to know more about that and hopefully cause a release from that. I haven't been going for walks this week, but getting exercise, and I've got to get more exercise, eating healthy, eating right again, staying away from the crap, getting good sleep like you talk about consistently. I've started doing your self-love meditations again. Again, it's stirring something up in me,
Mm.
even the third time. And a friend of mine, Sam Pond, told me that we talked about a polarity release where you focus on basically the two opposite ends of the spectrum and you're somewhere in the middle. And he gave me a polarity meditation, polarity release on saying to myself in a sing-songy way, I love myself. I love myself. And the first couple of times I did it, and I even felt it now, I mean, there's a vibration going on in my heart that it feels off. It doesn't feel like warmth. And then I actually started crying, I think, the first time I did it.
Yeah.
There's something there. And then the next side of that polarity is you say to yourself and meditate on, I don't love myself. I don't love myself. And when I did that as well, the first couple of times, I don't love myself. And then something naturally started having me saying different things along that same way of thinking, that same way of meditating about me not loving myself. And there was a lot of lower energy that was there behind that.
Mm.
So I know there's more work to do. I'm
Yeah.
okay with the work. There's always going to be challenges in life. I'm okay with that.
Mm.
This is getting to be, I keep on saying how ridiculous this is. So I've got to focus more on what's working for me. And this will hopefully,
Yeah.
I want to say resolve itself, or I'll be illuminated as to what I can do to really help myself and really help my love myself and to go forward.
Mm.
There was a technical difficulty for everyone. So we're just coming back online now. Agnes was talking about how 30 years of work. What were you saying about that?
Yeah, even after 30 years of work, you really still have things to clear. And yesterday, something triggered something off in me emotionally. I knew I had some coaching clients. So I thought, right, I need to go and get rid of this because I'm not taking this not good emotional feeling into my coaching sessions with, I had, I think, 2 or 3 people still to do that afternoon. And I thought, right, so I went to bed and I went through this process with Brandon Bays, this woman I've mentioned to you. And what came out of that was my dad died 10 years ago. He was sick for 7. So for 17 years, for 7 years, I watched him go through Alzheimer's and get worse and worse. And then my mum and I were trying to care for him. Eventually it got too much because he started getting a bit violent with the illness, and we put him in a nursing home. So this illness went on for a very long time, and I started getting resentful, angry, and I was imploding it. Plus I wasn't sleeping enough. I wasn't looking after myself enough because we were having to care for my father. So something triggered something off yesterday, and I had no thoughts of my father at all. None. There was something uncomfortable. When I laid down to do this process, what came up was guilt that I didn't take care of my father more without my resentful attitude, because I was resentful and angry in the later stages of his illness because it had gone on for so long, and we were basically having to stop our own lives to look after my father. Now, that might sound a bit harsh, but when you're in that situation for long periods of time, for those people that do and have looked after someone who's sick for a very long time, it takes a massive toll on your own health, because emotionally and mentally and physically, you're having to extend yourself constantly. So I went and did this process, and all of a sudden, it was the guilt of not having taken care of my father good enough, in my opinion. So I was carrying the guilt of that. So I went through this process, and all that guilt came out, and I was basically just shedding the pain of that and the guilt I felt and the not forgiving myself for that.
Yeah.
So even after 30 years, you still shed layers of things when you can feel it. But what I try and do now is, this is, oh, I can feel something that doesn't feel good. I don't feel like this usually. I'm getting rid of this as soon as I can. You lay down, you process it in whatever way, shape, or form. I find this works well, the inner child meditation, Dr. Hugh Len, because it gets right to the inner child and it brings out the feeling. So it was like I processed that in about an hour and a half. I felt really tired afterwards, but it was gone. Not carrying that anymore. So it's those things. You just attend to it when someone scratched the surface of it by a comment or by an argument or by somebody reflecting something back to you that really repels you and repulses you in who they are, because as we know, it's us pushed out. You go, okay, what the heck have I got going on that I just experienced that, witnessed that, and then you shed it. And I think the more you do that, you're not carrying that heavy burden. You see that stuff on people's faces. You also see it in their body posture when you're carrying stuff and you don't deal with it, you don't let it out. So it is such a great process, and it sounds like you're on your way to doing that too, just unhooking, dissolving, letting go of old stuff that we carry. Then we're free, more free in the present. And that's why we do it, to stop the suffering.
I appreciate what you're saying, and thank you for saying that. But for me, it's a bit different, where I'm okay with doing the maintenance on the car. I'm okay with rotating the tires and getting the oil changed and fluid. I'm tired of feeling like I've got to go back and do the brakes on the car every 3 and 6 months. That's what it is for me. And also, I'm fortunate enough that I've let go in a certain way, that when I've let it go, ultimately, that thing has not come back and affected me anymore.
Mm.
Up to my work, I don't doubt myself anymore at work, or nearly as much at work. And I can see as well through the work I've done recently that my work isn't necessarily me. Like, I really was attached to my identity as a job and at my job. And I've been a workaholic for years and I've been reading up
Yeah.
on that. And I was around a politician recently, and the politician was saying to some of the people he was chatting with, "Oh no, I've been married to the job for X number of years." And I thought to myself, driving down the road yesterday, married to the job? Why the hell would you want to be married to the job? And then something came up inside me of, I don't know, why have you been married to yours?
Mm.
And I think a big part of it has been relationships with women, in the way that I felt inside, or the way that I've been inside, or whatever. I don't even know how to put it into context for you. But there's just been something going on with me where what I've been doing, or how I've been feeling, just hasn't been good enough. And I know in a lot of ways I expected myself to be Superman, and I started this dating looking at myself process this, finding help from people to try to be the Superman of dating, so I never have a mistake and never be a
Mm.
mess. I think that really came from a place of not trusting myself, and also not believing in myself and my own validation of, I I expected myself to know everything all the time, but inherently you know how to do that because it's stored in your body, because you just
Mm.
listen to your body, you listen to
Yeah.
your, rather than that voice of anxiety that's running around in your mind.
Mm. And
And
Abraham Hicks calls it the emotional guidance system. That's what she calls it.
yeah,
There it
and
is.
there's something there to that,
Mm.
where you know, you can do it, you can do it well for yourself. It's like if you're rock climbing in a gym or on the side of a mountain, I mean, you might have to stop to look at the wall to see where your next step should be. But in another way, you're listening to your body and going into a sense of flow and being okay with the moment, because you're trusting yourself to be okay with doing what needs to be done, which is great. But I mean, I'm really tired right now, so I don't know what else to say. But I don't even want to say I'm getting frustrated with this. Like, it's okay that I've got more work to do, because I let go of so much recently, and I was really at a point where I was ready to give up,
Mm.
until I had these major releases this past week. I was I was considering that maybe I should just give up entirely and that women in dating weren't going to happen for me, because I don't think it should be like there's a certain safety in the women that I've dated that I've been successful with or it's gone well with. And it's like the women that I'm really attracted to and really turn me on and would like to date, in a way, maybe I'm putting them on a pedestal, but in a way, it also doesn't feel safe for me to go out with them. And I've got to ask myself why that is, because there's nothing but safety there. And to be honest, I provide safety for myself, and women feel that. And it's like I don't feel safe from them, but that's illogical. That's not real, because they're not coming at me with a knife, coming at me with their love and their gift and their warmth and their feminine ingredients.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I'm hearing all this, me saying it right now, because those are the things seemingly that I don't feel safe in receiving from a woman. I've learned about LOA and manifestations and being able to accept that manifestation, to be able to allow it in. If you can't do that, it's about self-worth.
There is a book called Open Your Mind to Receive by Catherine Ponder. It's a thin book. It's excellent for people that have trouble receiving.
Catherine Ponder, is that with a K or with?
Catherine Ponder with a C and then Ponder. Fabulous book for those. Yeah, it was a game changer for me. It's really good.
Okay, well, I'm writing that down right now because I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into No More Mr. Nice Guy again this weekend, but I'm also going to enjoy my time here because I've really worked hard in the past couple of weeks, in the past couple of months, and can't believe how, by focusing more on myself and less about her, as much as she is a total babe and a total knockout, and I'm not putting her on a pedestal, that's just me stating the fact, how I've changed so much by stepping back more and more from her has been really impressive, especially recently in the past couple of weeks where all this stuff was going on at work and I need time away. And then there's just been so many different shifts. I started working with one person on releasing and letting go and getting better at that. And in the course of our 4 weeks together, it's shifted into a conversation of self-esteem and self-love and accepting myself and accepting my masculine power, accepting what I've got and what I'm able to radiate out to everyone else. So
Lovely.
think of anything else to bring up right now. If you have, you know what, I'd love to hear any advice that you've got for me or anyone else that's listening. That we've talked about going deep and feeling into what is going on there. I'd like you to feel into and to give me all of your insights on how I can help myself.
Well, I think you're already on the right track. I think the self-love is the first rung that needs to be dealt with. You got to look at how you don't love yourself physically first, in terms of sleep, drinking water, eating properly, exercise. You got to deal with that level first, I think, because if you're exhausted, you can't do the mental work. So you have to deal with what the body needs first. Then you move on to the mental level. What do I need to do in my mind? I think it's controlling the mind as to harnessing what it's doing. Where do you let it wander around? So you got to look at, what do I think? Where am I putting my thoughts? And work on changing those. Once you're conscious of how negative you are, if that's an issue you have, then you work on your self-love through the meditation and through the affirmations. What that often brings up is people's inability to concentrate and focus. That, I think, is a massive thing that a lot of people that try to work on themselves, that's a problem most people have. So you got to then work at that level and deal with your concentration and your focus and improve those to then be able to influence your emotional body. From that, you then, when something kicks you in the backside again, emotionally, mentally, then you have to go, okay, why am I not able to sustain these practices? The self-love being consistent, the taking care of myself consistently. It's because we default back to those deep beliefs that come from childhood, like I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve, or I'm not worthy. They're the ones that I see a lot, or people having a lot of anxiety. And that often comes from childhood too. What is the source of your anxiety? What is the source of your, I need to get love from this person? What is the source of, I just don't feel secure? I feel very insecure. I feel very not good enough. According to who? But you got to go back and look at who it was. Who was it that I felt abandoned by? Who was it that I felt not good enough with? Who was it that I felt insecure around and that I felt that anxiety? You got to go back and you got to pull the cork on those things by going into them, releasing those old feelings out of the body. And that you don't do in one hit. You do it over time. You do it whenever it comes up. You do it whenever something gets reflected back to you, where you don't feel good enough, where you feel insecure, where you feel second best, where you feel jealous, where you feel rejected. Instead of going and having conversations with these people that made you feel that stuff, because it was never about them in the first place, you deal with you. Like you said, you have to deal with you. They didn't cause it. They can't cure it. It is up to you to scrub the decks. And you do that, I think, through going into processes, whether you do it with, some people use a therapist, a counselor, a coach, or a video, a YouTube, a meditation, a process. Do it in whatever ways you can to go back to that original pain where the original things occurred that caused those beliefs and thoughts and feelings to become who you are. And then you unplug them. It's like you've got different shaped corks within you. You've got to pull the corks out. And as you pull the corks out, the shackles drop off and you become more free. And then you don't need someone to love you because you fully are able to love yourself. Therefore, people come because they want to be with you, because you have set them free, that they don't have to love you for you to feel good. That is the greatest gift you give anybody in a relationship, I think. So that, I think, in a nutshell, is you drop through the layers: physical, mental, emotional. You obviously keep the spiritual alive through the meditations, through the processes, through connecting to the God, the source, universe of your understanding. Doesn't matter what word you use, but that you remember you come from somewhere that is a much bigger place than just little old you. And you use the source within you to help heal you. And you then kind of go through a purification. You're purifying yourself of all these old pockets of stuff, memories, old beliefs, things that don't serve you, things that harm you, things that make you feel that you're not good enough, that you're not secure, etc., etc. You are purifying yourself of these things so that you can be free emotionally. At the end of the day, it's being free emotionally. So to answer your question, that's it.
I'll say this for me, that sometimes you might have to talk to those people or put yourself in those situations that make you feel a bit off so you can remember that feeling.
Yes.
And get up and release on it. I can tell you that.
Yes. And that's
scared.
what that Brandon Bays thing I talked to you that I went through yesterday, because I've been using her for years, but I'd forgotten about it because I haven't had to process much for quite a while. So I went, oh, hang on, let me go back to that process. And she drops you through the layers of emotions. And she says, now whose face does that bring up, that emotion? Where? And you drop through, and you might have more than one face that's put their finger in that raw pink nerve of yours. So it's a wonderful process.
Could you email me with those two names when you get a chance? And then also when you post this video, can you post those two names? as
Yes, I
well.
will. I'll put it under this so everybody can have a look, because her work is profound. She had a cancer or a tumor. It was huge in her stomach because she had imploded so many emotions. It had
Mm.
grown this cancer. She dissolved that in 6.5 weeks because she just went through this process and dissolved and just went through the emotional stuff, released, and this thing just went you and shrunk down to nothing.
I can tell you that with me, I've been scared of large ships since I was a kid. And the earliest memory I have is the city where I live. They had a warship that was a museum at one point. It's left now, but I was there outside the warship looking up at it. It was this little kid of this big warship.
Mm.
And the fear started from that, and the fear started a couple of years later when they found the Titanic as well. And then I was on vacation last year in California, and they've got an aircraft carrier museum there. And I wanted to go on, but at the same time, I forced myself to go on to deal with that fear in a way. And it's a warship. It's not like it's this big, Carnival cruise ship that's warm and inviting. It's a ship of death in a certain way. It's a ship of, and it's meant to be cold and it's meant to be frightening. And I actually got myself on that ship and I walked around and I left it. And I can feel the anxiety that I was feeling now as I remember all that.
Yeah.
Pictures of the ship online recently, and yeah, there's still some fear there, but it's not debilitating.
Yeah.
It actually feels like I could go back on that ship today, tomorrow, and actually be okay with it and walk around and probably have that fear drop down a little bit less in my body.
Yeah.
And being something that was not consuming my life, but taking over my life. What's really been consuming my life has been how I feel around women, how I feel around really attractive women, how they make me feel about myself. But it's not them that's making me feel that way. It's something that's stored inside me that is still there. That's really unfair to me. That's seeing me not live up to my full potential and not live up to the guy that I'm actually capable of being. And that's what I'm looking for here. This is what this is all about, is to me be able to step in some ways beyond my comfort zone, but really what is inherently within my comfort zone. Because I remarked recently to someone that's helping me that I actually don't think I'm bad with women. I don't think that the problem is relating to me and how I feel about relating to women. It's something else. And I'm not trying to boast here, but we chat and I make you laugh and you smile and I see your radiance and you enjoy that. So it's something else. I'll figure it out. I know that. I'll figure it out. But I'm just tired of what I'll call the same result.
Yeah. And when you get tired of it, that's usually when you can drop in further, and because you get so sick of it, and you just go, I've had enough of this. And then you go and try and find, whether you read a book or whatever, you taking some time off and to go within and to decode some more things. I think that's when you get, sometimes it feels like you're doing stuff, it's not working, and then you just get this big breakthrough and you go, oh my God, look at it all.
That's exactly what I felt recently. Like, that's why I felt I was going to give up. I couldn't feel or see the shifts happening.
Yeah.
I was looking for them to happen in a certain way.
Yeah.
But also, of course, I had this great point that I was going to make, and now I forget it. It's not. Oh yeah, now I remember. Like, I had stories and energy stored in my body for years that was put there as a kid, growing up in a house from a European background. It wasn't coming from my mom and dad. To their credit, they've never said to me, when are you going to bring a girl home, or why aren't you married, or why don't you have kids? But from their parents and their aunts and uncles, when are you going to meet a nice girl? Oh, you have to get married. Oh, yes, you have to get married and you have to have children. And somehow that really resonated with me when I was a kid, and I stored that inside me for years. And I can even feel it residually now talking to you. But I've been able to hold that idea that, like, it's really supposed to be about the opposite of that. it's not supposed to be about marriage. It's supposed to be about flirting and fun and chemistry and spending time together and seeing if you work well together
Mm-hmm.
to have something more than a friendship, possibly, whether like to be into or to date or just to date for fun or I don't even know how to describe it, but those words definitely did not help me.
Yep.
It's just been such a mind F
Yeah.
that I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I can't even describe it to you because I'm just at a loss for words. And I'm like Mr. Charming, Mr. Charisma over here. So it says, like, it's just wow about how much me and how much has held me back in a lot of ways. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I still see a lot of cultures, because I'm working with people all over the world that still believe that unless you're married, that there's something wrong with you, and that being single is like having a disease. Once you get to a certain age, if you're not married, then there must be something wrong with you. And I think we're now coming out of that belief system in a lot of cultures. Some cultures not yet, but a lot of cultures are, that whether you're single or you're married or you've got kids or you don't have kids, that it really doesn't matter. It's 2020 now. It doesn't matter. It's whatever is right for you in your life, irregardless of what your family thinks, what your friends think, and that is tough for some cultures. I know that. So, but coming back to yourself and saying, what's right for me right now? What would I like? What would I like to experience? Forget the peanut gallery. What do I want? And trying to hear that voice. Because, yeah, I know what you're saying about the Europeans. They do a lot of the European cultures that being married is like you've made it.
Yeah, that's a really good way to describe a really good way that I felt in my body. And maybe that's why women dating has been so important to me. But there's something else going on between not only women and dating, but women and dating and being the women that I really like. So I'm willing to look at that. I've finally reached that layer. And I really hope you're right that I've reached that point where I can go really deep on it and kind of like clean sponge it out of me. And that way, because my view on women and dating was I needed it, not that I have to complete everything else in my life first, and then that thing can come to me.
Yeah.
And I really hope that she can come to me, but we'll see about that. That's still to be determined. So, yeah.
And that will be another to be continued.
Well, we'll see about
to be continued. No, I mean, just in life, like it's another to be continued in life. It's never finished. So thank you for coming, Vincent, to this lovely interview that we've done today. Lots of good information about just the mechanics of how to work your way through this stuff, because it is, it's easy to say, just do this, just do that. But, for some people, stuff isn't working, and it's okay. You've just got to work out, why isn't it working for me, and where can I course correct? And do I need to, whatever more, I need to try something else, or I need to let go, surrender, and allow, because I see that that's one of the things that people don't do enough of.
But not only that, also start to focus on what's working.
Yep.
And the more you focus on stuff, the more it grows. That has helped me out a lot in the past week. But I'll also tell you this, is that, hang on, give me a second. The more you focus on working, the more stuff ends up working itself out, because from that own place of momentum, you'll be able to gather more momentum, and the more you focus on things, the more it grows. But this is the second point I wanted to make. I've started listening to my body more for answers on this.
Yeah.
Rather than doing it from a point of logical.
Yes.
And that has helped me immensely.
Yeah.
In the past 4 weeks. And I attribute that in a huge part to the shifts. At one point, my body was telling me to forget about her, and my ego wouldn't let it happen. And my ego wouldn't let it happen because it was interesting. My ego didn't want me to get together with her, but my ego also didn't want me to let go of her and me forget about her and just focus on my growth. And here we are now.
And you talking about focusing more on the body, thoughts are the language of the mind, and
Yep.
emotions are the language of the body. So you listening to your body more, it puts you more in sync with what you need, and then you can then move towards feeling better. So yeah, it's good. All right, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Thank you. That was good conversation. So do you want to say goodbye to everyone, and then I will, and then we'll say goodbye in private.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening. I hope it really helped you.
Bye, everybody. To be continued. You know where and you know when.